The world doesn't bend for talent. It doesn't kneel for good intentions. It bends only for the mind that refuses to yield. It yields to the individual who has trained their thoughts to be weaponized, focused, and unshakable. Because the truth is brutal. Your reality bends not to what you want, but to who you are and who you believe yourself to be. If you walk into the world hoping to be approved, it will hand you rejection. If you wait for permission, it will give you silence. But if you walk with the conviction that reality will reorganize itself around your will, then slowly, painfully, inevitably, it will. This is the law that built every empire. This is the truth behind every titan. It's not magic. It's not mystery. It's the mind. Train the mind, and the world obeys. Ignore it, and the world breaks you. Napoleon Hill said, "Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve." But he didn't stop there. He also warned, if you fail to discipline your thinking, if you allow fear, doubt, and other people's limitations to rent space in your head, then you become a prisoner in a cage you built yourself. The cage is invisible. That's what makes it dangerous. It looks like excuses. It sounds like logic. It feels like safety. But it's not safety. It's slow death. You were not born to think like the crowd. You were born to lead your own mind, and in doing so, bend the world into shape. So how do you think like that? You begin by mastering the most dangerous battlefield in existence, your thoughts. Because every thought is a seed, every belief is a blueprint, and the world builds itself around the architecture of your dominant mental patterns. If your thoughts are cloudy, your path will be uncertain. If your thoughts are rooted in fear, your outcomes will mirror it. But if your thoughts are clear, forceful, filled with vision, then the world begins to mirror your clarity, not because it owes you, not because you asked, but because you've aligned with a law that predates you. Edison used it to bring light to the world. Ford used it to put every man behind the wheel. Disney used it to turn dreams into landscapes. None of them waited. None of them begged. They saw the future in their minds and moved with such intensity that the world had no choice but to adapt. That is what it means to think like this. To think with such clarity, belief, and purpose that the world must respond. They did not think about if. They thought about how. They did not wonder whether the world would approve. They assumed the world would follow once they proved the vision real. That's the difference between ordinary and unstoppable. Ordinary people seek validation. Unstoppable people declare intention and demand alignment. And that kind of thinking is not genetic. It's not a gift. It's trained. Just like muscle, just like grit. You become what you dwell on. If you feed your mind hesitation, it will starve your momentum. But if you flood it daily with vision, clear, intense, emotionally charged vision, then even failure will bend before you. Because failure does not stop the man with a made-up mind. Failure only redirects him. That's how Carnegie built an empire from steel. That's how Lincoln stood firm in the face of a divided, violent nation. That's how Oprah rose from trauma and poverty to command attention with just her presence. They had mastered the inner game, and the inner game always dictates the outer world. Most people are taught to think reactively, to let the world define their worth, to interpret events emotionally, not strategically. But the ones who bend the world don't react, they declare. They declare who they are, what they want, where they're going, and then they bend their environment to match that declaration. You think you need motivation, but what you really need is dominion, the ability to sit alone in a room, conjure a future no one else can see, and move toward it with so much faith that the world begins to believe in it too. That's the seed of every miracle. That's how mountains move. It's not by waiting, it's by willing. And will is not loud. It doesn't shout or boast. It just moves day after day, hour after hour, action after action, until momentum becomes law. When you think like this, excuses feel like poison. Blame becomes laughable. Waiting becomes intolerable because you've tasted the truth. Your world is plastic, malleable, shaped by focus, shaped by repetition, shaped by belief, and you'll refuse to go back. That's the awakening. That's when you stop chasing and start commanding, not people, not events, but yourself. And when you command yourself with ruthless clarity, the world follows. That's not arrogance. That's alignment with purpose, with potential, with the very laws of creation. And nothing, no obstacle, no rejection, no delay can stand against someone who has decided, not just hoped, not just wished, but decided that this mind, this life, this moment will not be wasted.